Hello everyone, I'm an instructor at Art Center College of Design. I would like to introduce you to my new drawing course, Form from Imagination, a course designed to help you draw with confidence from your mind. Maybe you want to be a professional illustrator or designer, maybe you want to be a master with a pencil, or maybe you just want to be the best artist that you can be. Beautiful goals. But it's not always clear how to improve the work that you do from imagination. Over the past 6 months, I've taken all of the little eurekas, tips, and essential exercises that gave me confidence drawing from my mind and compiled them into a sequential course. We start with the absolute foundations, covering the scientific nature of light and shadow, how to hatch, how to create flat tones, how to render spheres and cubes, and step by step, we move through combined shapes, complex shapes, organic shapes. We cover how to simplify extremely complex subjects like the head into basic shapes so that you can handle them more easily from your head. We look at how to understand and treat details. And by the end of these 14 chapters with over 50 video lessons, you'll be ready to do complex designs from your mind with fidelity and energy. And all the demos are done in pencil on paper, so you can do all of the assignments even if you don't have a fancy digital art setup. But I also have demos, instructions, and modifications to the assignments for those who do want to do them digitally. Here's how it works. Go to formfromimagination.com and sign up for the course. Download the assignment book and start watching the lectures. Do the assignments at your own pace. Take your time with them and use this self-study to develop your patience. When you're done, post your assignments in the exclusive community hub, and I'll personally critique your work with drawovers, diagrams, and advice. I want you to know, this course is no joke just because it's online. It is challenging content, and it is more complete than it would be if I was teaching this class at an art college as I have before. If I was teaching this class in person at Art Center today, I would just play these videos in class, knowing full well that they're the most concise, focused, edited, step-by-step way to convey the material. So I'm serious when I say, this course isn't just a substitute for a college-level course, it's better than a college-level course. And you don't have to pay thousands of dollars per credit and wind up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So thank you for checking out the course, thank you for watching this and for your support, and thank you for drawing and making your artwork. The world needs it. I'll see you soon. The year is 87039, new nonlinear time. It's been 50,000 years since Stephen Zapata's final art stream, but we still live in a golden age defined by the gifts his stream bestowed upon mankind. Faster than light travel, eternal life, Stephen cloning, and the keys to a truly galactic human civilization. My name is Stave Satapaz, a reminder clone of Stephen Zapata, an exact reproduction of his personality as constructed by an AI compiling millions of hours of his original art streams. By all accounts, I'm exactly like the original Stephen's public persona, just more muscular, exactly as he would have wanted. I travel the stars on my light tracer, a dream of Stephen. My crew is, of course, all clones of Stephen. Some of my officers are reminders like me, but not all. Some are bioclones, and yet others are aspectoids, clones who, instead of trying to capture his full essence, amplify a particular portion of the original Stephen's personality. We've spent hundreds of years drawing, exploring, and philosophizing while snaking our way through the stars, spreading the good word of design. But we've had another, secret mission as we've cruised the cosmos. I, seek information on the legendary originals, Stephen Zapata's true drawings that he flung wide across the stars at the end of his life on Earth, never to be seen again. My crew thinks I'm looking for them for the same reason all the other madmen do, because they would be valuable beyond all reason. But they don't know what I know, that a critical mass of originals in the hands of a trained reminder can provide a psychic link to the original Stephen mind. Once I collect enough, I'll be able to fulfill my destiny and achieve psychological continuity with the original Stephen. And through me, he will live again to usher in golden ages of art forever. Drawing Ascendant, The Eternal Chronicles of Stephen Zapata, Lasting Legacy 1, Epic one. I was just trying to make tea. Pot boiling. Cup ready. Out of bags. Horrible feeling. A horrible, horrible feeling. Is there anything worse? Let's be honest. Fractithist, Fizzy, Mizubi, Lack I Nocturne, Matej Davi, Jenny Craddock. Hello everybody, Happy New Year. Hope everybody's year is off to a decent start. Little bit of music. Happy New Year's, Tet. Let me reposition my mic. When I'm down here, my mouth is there. I think that should be okay. Testing, testing. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe a little louder. Testing, testing. Yeah, that's good. Steven, is playing Dark Souls for 35 hours count as a creative process? Not in any serious way. It does in the sense that that's the stuff that you're interested in and that will probably inspire what kind of art you're into and what kind of art you want to make. But narrowly construed, of course not. It's more like, if we were trying to be charitable, we could say it's part of your life process, but your creative process, I think the creative process we would narrow down to being what goes into a particular piece or something like that. Unless you're specifically making like a Dark Souls piece. I don't think that's gonna pan out. Pencil needed eraser, blending stump today. Nothing complicated. Fractithus says, Steven, question. I stream painting on Twitch. I get like single-digit views sometimes. I keep getting people asking if I take requests, and when I don't draw what they want, they leave. But I kind of don't want to do their thing. I want to draw my thing. Should I be more open to that to grow an audience or stick to what I want to do? I would advise sticking to what you want to do. I mean, people haven't really put me directly in that position, but I was always aware that I needed to avoid it. I used to stream on Twitch to single-digit viewers for a long time, for years, really. I've spent most of my streaming time streaming to like 10 people or less. Well, no, not at this point, not most of my streaming time, but I spent between like 2014 and 2018, all the streaming that I did in that time was to like 10 people or less. And yeah, I just never ever did anybody's requests. And that was specifically because I knew if I set the precedent that I would, then that's all anybody would care about. So yeah, I just avoided it completely from the beginning. Unless you like doing people's requests, I would be very cautious about setting that as a precedent. Very, very cautious. Happy New Year, Tali. Happy New Year, Tet, to my favorite and only art guru. May the art be your guru. Fancy Texas says, I have a crush on you. Happy New Year. I have a crush on you too, Fancy. Any comments on recent AI news, Steven? Like the Midjourney list that came out? It's a couple things. Well, first off, the anger that people feel towards that list is completely justified. Obviously, I'm right there with it. My position on AI is well known to everybody. But yeah, to me, it's not really news, you know? I mean, that list has actually been out there for a while. It's part of the lawsuit brought against Stable Diffusion and Midjourney. It was one of the exhibits in the lawsuit. It's just sort of hitting now in a broader sense to the popular culture, but it's not, strictly speaking, it's not new news at all. And I don't know, it's kind of bemusing, like people know their work is being used, but it's like they need to see a list to sort of take it seriously. But the problem is that there's no compulsory transparency for AI companies. So the only lists you're ever gonna see are gonna be the ones that they're forced to cough up or that they cough up by accident. So I don't really think that's the way to move forward. You guys have seen how active I am against AI. I personally have never found myself on a single list. I'm not in Have I Been Trained. I have never found myself in Line 5B or any of the other data sets that have been revealed in their entirety or parts of them. And I never cared. It was always clear to me that whether or not I was in the data sets, it was a wrong thing that needed to be fought against. It was enough for me that that was my industry and that those were my friends and things like that. But beyond that, like I said, these companies don't have to reveal their data set. So I just assume I'm in one somewhere. And if I'm not now, I'm going to be at some point. So it's just like, don't wait for a list. Like, I really think it's perfectly, it makes sense with something this serious to just kind of assume you're in it, because you're gonna be eventually if they're just allowed to take everything that they want. Emma says, what is the Midjourney list? There is a spreadsheet going around that was let's face it, it's a partial list of specific artists that Midjourney went after and that they trained Midjourney on. And it's just it's having a moment right now because it's just it's a concrete list and you can find your name on it. Whereas before, you know, you just had to assume, or you had to sort of type your name into Midjourney and see if it sort of knew something about your look or your style to sort of infer that you were in its data set. But I mean, it's really the baseline. I mean, these companies are doing way worse than that. They have far worse intentions than that. They're more bad faith than that, and they care less than that. I mean, just... they've done worse things and they will do worse things. And they're gonna save their skins however they can. Did you do the dance for XXX after the stream? XXX has yet to redeem that particular ticket. My lighting is changing a lot in here. Sorry that it keeps shifting. The sun is moving in and out of clouds and I don't want to close my window. I need some sunlight. My camera's all off here. Let me see if I can just roughly put into position without getting the camera in the shot. I think that's fine. Have you seen Paprika by Satoshi Kon? Years ago, many, many years ago. Okay, the lighting in here is driving me nuts. Give me a second. I'm gonna close my window and turn on my other light. Don't worry, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. It's the inconsistency of it all that drives me mad. And the noise from the little fans on the lights, that also drives me mad. And I'm also gonna remember to do my prop my paper up this time, instead of being lazy. All right, that's better. I'm seeing some dropped frames. Stream look good for everybody? I'm asking a serious question. Can this beat Goku? No way. Absolutely not. It is Hades. It is Hades, I Nocturne. I Nocturne! Can a non-Japanese person work in anime? I'm a bit curious. Maybe if they had more staff, the working conditions could improve? Maybe if they had more staff, the working conditions could improve. I don't know about that. I'm really not educated on the anime industry. My gut tells me, yeah, a non-Japanese person could work in the anime industry, and I would assume there probably are many who do. It's probably harder though. I mean, it's a product very of their culture, it seems. So I think just naturally, if you're not of the culture, it might be harder to sort of have something of deep value to add there. You also might be used to different pay or different returns on that much effort if you're coming from a different artistic or cultural milieu, you know? Cute dog you're drawing, what's his name? What's his name? Oslo says, say Steven. Hey Steven, have you heard the great news about AI, the whole law that went through saying AI work is copyright infringement? I don't know what law you're talking about. Is it if you are indeed interpreting it right, I don't think it would be in the United States. A real law is quite a bit of ways right now, at least in the United States. But what law are you talking about and where? Somebody may have proposed a bill, but even that I don't think is the case here in the United States. Someone mentioned snow. Reminds me to look. So much for that. Emma says, love this creature, looks like an unusually good-natured goblin. Good-natured. I like that. Drinkwater says, I showed my mom drawings of my bird anatomy and human anatomy comparisons. She was blown away by how similar skeletons are. Yeah, she thinks I'm learning something legit now. Well, you are learning something legit. But yeah, that field is usually called comparative anatomy, because there's enough similarities that you really can learn it by comparing one to the other. Vertebrates have surprisingly similar skeletons across the board. Like even a giraffe's neck, something like that, is like the individual units are structured very much like our vertebrae. They're just much bigger, exaggerated. Quick question, any tips for hatching? If you've only tried cross-hatching, try just doing unidirectional hatching. I like that better personally. You could get a much softer effect if you just keep all your lines sort of the same angle and cut between them and do layers like that. They start to obfuscate each other and you get a smoother effect. Cross-hatching isn't for everybody. I find cross-hatching a little active for my taste. It's very, very attention-grabbing. I find that it distracts from the form a little bit, and I like to emphasize the design of the form, not necessarily the design of the hatches. Faux Turkey says we're all one, because we are one. We are one. Pull out a couple more pencils here so I don't have to sharpen so much. No, I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna sharpen so much. Baby, please give me some pencils so that I don't have to sharpen so much. I'm sick, sick, sick of going to the sharpener without you, baby. Steven, I realized that all my drawing time I use doing exercises from online courses. I noticed that I never drew in my sketchbook. I tried, but I felt a weird kind of fear. How can I overcome this? Basically this, like every stream on this channel, all of the YouTube videos on this channel are basically about answering that question. There is no real how. You just need to do it. You just need to stop over prioritizing these. The exercises that you're doing aren't easy, but it's easy to rely on them. Does that make sense? Like you're going back to them over and over again because they feel objective, because it's like, I did a good thing today if I did this many cubes, if I did this many cylinders, if I practiced A, B, C, D. And that's not what art is. You know, that's a part of art. It's an aspect of bringing up your skills. But that's a very small portion of what art is. What art really is the bohemian stuff that we all shy away from. It's emotion, it's feeling, it's exploration, it's discomfort, it's trying to communicate particular feelings. And you learn how to do that by making your pictures. That is much harder for most people because it challenges you in deeper ways and it folds your personality, and for a lot of people, unfortunately, a sense of their self-esteem and things like that into it. But you need to grapple it. You need to take it very seriously. You just won't have a career based only on what exercises can give you. It won't ever happen. And when I say career, I really mean like a practice that does what you want. I don't mean like a money thing. Career was a bad word. I mean just like even as a hobbyist, a practice that you're proud of and that is giving you the artistic fulfillment that you seek. It's not on the other side of doing thousands of spheres and thousands of studies of clothing and fabric and things like that. That can be a part of it, but you must leave that behind. At some point, or at least never stop doing your pictures. I say it all the time on here, always be doing your pictures. A, B, D, Y, P. A, B, D, Y, P, always be doing your pictures. Thanks, Corey. Hey, Med, how you doing, buddy? I know the hair is very long right now. I'm close to cutting it right now. It's gotten to the length where the individual strands are so long they can't hold themselves up. So now they're all started to fall to the sides instead of going up. Whatever, man. Guillermo Anjos says, going along in this subject, when do you think would be a good moment to stop doing these drawing exercises? Or how can I identify this moment? Any suggestions? It's right now. I'm not kidding. It is right now. It's like, if you have to ask, it's time to stop. You've already gone too far. You were never supposed to stop doing your kinds of pictures. Now, if you didn't mean it that way, if you meant you are doing your pictures, you know, if you want to be a concept artist, you do concepts. If you want to be a portrait artist, you do portraits. If you want to be a allegorical drawer, painter, you do that regularly. Then you don't need to stop the drawing exercises. You just need to make sure that they are subservient to your ideas, that they are the secondary part of your practice. The simple advice that I give is start every day being creative. That is to say, do just the kinds of pictures you like doing, that you dream of doing, right? For me, obviously, it's squatting goblins. That's all that was my dream. That's always been my dream. That's all I want to do. So you start the day with this, and as you do this, you're gonna find where you're deficient. You're gonna find failures, things that could be better. And then if you're going to study, you study in the second part of your session, either half of your drawing time, a quarter of your drawing time, 1/10 of your drawing time, as little as you could bear, I would say. And you do studies that address directly the relevant problems for the kinds of pictures that you want to do. And then you end the day on that. That way, usually when you've done the study, it gives you an idea for how to fix your creative pictures. And you don't want to right away go running back to your creative picture and use that energy. Well, you can, but I think it's wiser to save it for the next day, because then you know exactly what to start with when you go back to your creativity the next day. So it makes it easier to go back to the drawing board, rinse, dry, repeat for 40 years, you'll be fine. Nicholas says, what do you enjoy most about drawing creatures? Just that there's no expectations of beauty or anatomical accuracy to things that we're familiar with. Shit. Forgot I needed to move my car. Well, I'll probably have to do that. That's all right, I'm parked right out front. I just need to move to the other side of the street, so it'll take less than 3 minutes, truly. No getting around it. I gotta do it. That's what you gotta do when you live in New York City. Another quick question. Do you hatch in the direction of the light source? No. I implied the direction of the light source with the overall shadow shapes, and I hatch following the form. I'm either following the form or, like I said earlier, I'm just going in one direction so that everything blends together. And I rarely crosshatch, at least consciously. Sometimes it happens accidentally, sort of naturally, but like picky, choosy, like carefully doing crosshatching in like maybe the way like a comic book artist would, I very rarely ever do that. It's a beautiful look, it's just not for me. It's not the kind of thing I like to focus my efforts on. Lassie says, Steven, stop cracking your knuckles. If you do too much, your fingers will explode. No. All right. Hate to do it, but I gotta go move my car. I'll be back in like 5. And I'm back. Hi, Pupper. I live in a pretty good neighborhood for parking in New York City, and even in my neighborhood. You know, I just moved my car 1 minute before regulations were up. So I'm early, you know, I'm technically a minute ahead. Like, they could give me a ticket. And still, there was only one spot left on my block. If you want to not have to hunt for parking, you gotta be right on it. When I walk out there and I see that a minute before regulations are up in the middle of the day, there's only one spot left, I'm always like, is everybody else in my neighborhood at home doing YouTube streams? Steven, how do I draw every day? What are you gonna do if you don't draw every day? I mean, the only way to draw every day is because you want to. Why wouldn't you want to? What are you gonna do otherwise? Sit around and play video games. Actually, that sounds pretty fun. Should probably just do that. You'll draw every day if you really want to. So cultivate your want. It's the only real way to do it. Cultivating your want will involve increasing your experiential capacity for the thing that you're doing. It'll also involve removing distracting, intrusive thoughts so that the activity is more fun. And it'll also mean probably trimming out some other things in your life. Rocket Manhunter says, do you know ways to make money as an artist online if you're introverted? Most ways that artists make money are good for introverts. You know, commissions. You can just handle everything by email. You could be a freelance designer. Again, mostly email. I mean, you're gonna get pulled into a few meetings, but mostly just to get notes. You're not gonna have to do anything very extroverted. Most artists, even if you have to do meetings, you can really get through them by just kind of nodding and taking notes in your notebook, you know? No one's asking you to be charismatic or crazy or anything like that. They just need you to listen, and they're just trying to tell you what the hell to do, so. How on earth do you keep your drawing so clean? I don't even try. I think once you start utilizing smudging, it kind of evens things out. It's like any amount that I would smudge the drawing with my hands or something like that, or by accident, it can't even compare to the amount that I'm smudging with intent, like stuff like this. I mean, like, someone who doesn't use a blending stump or who doesn't do a bit of smudging in their pencil drawings, just the amount that I do here, that would be considered a catastrophe on their drawing, right? That was me really hard pressing with the stump and spreading it really far over the drawing. Someone who has a different way of using pencil would think that was a total mess up, a huge catastrophe, a huge blur, but considering how much of it I do, it barely contributes a difference to the drawing. So any incidental smudging, like I'm just gonna take my whole hand and rub it all over my drawing. How much of a difference does this really make? Like, why would I care about that? That barely changed anything, you know? So I don't know. I like smudging for many reasons, but that's one of them. It's like once I start intentionally smudging, there's really only so much accidental smudging could mess up the drawing. Don't be too precious with your drawings. They smudge, they get dirty, you spill some water on them, like, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about them too much. Don't be so scared. It's just a drawing. Steven, do you use fixative on your sketchbooks? If not, how do you keep them clean? I do not use fixative, and kind of like I said before with the how do you keep the individual drawing clean, I just really don't worry about it. I don't know, if I used charcoal or something like that as my primary medium, I would probably do something, but graphite really doesn't smudge that much. I mean, when you're working very tentatively and scared, and you're not producing dark enough darks, and you're doing these, you don't have control of graphite yet, so you're producing drawings that are too low contrast, because the intentional parts of the drawing are so low contrast, incidental smudges and smears will look higher contrast and more attention grabbing on those drawings. But when you have a grip of graphite and you can do drawings with a full contrast range and control of the lighting, with that opened up value range, the smears most people are worried about are really just not a huge deal. And if it's a sketchbook, it's like you're not doing finished drawings in there, right? So I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. Even my finished pieces, my finished graphite pieces, like the stuff in my portfolio, none of them are sealed. I don't seal any of them. I would only seal them if I like sold them to somebody or something like that. If I didn't know what they were going to do to it or something like that, I would seal it just to increase the chances it stays okay and as I intended. But I gave a drawing to a friend recently, and I knew that he and his wife were going to frame it, and so I didn't seal it. I knew it would be protected. It's because you are a hack artist, Steven. Hold on. Sorry, 1 second. Oops. Sorry, the battery adapter for my camera fell off my desk and I didn't want it to yank out the plug and have my camera feed go dark. I've been trying to draw with the blending stump more, and it's been helping a lot. I really love the blending stump as a drawing tool. They get a bad rap. I draw with it all the time, early in the drawing, late in the drawing. It's a really fun tool to explore shapes with. A lot of people don't understand that certain shapes only look right low contrast, so the blending stump lets you see those shapes the way they should be. instead of seeing them high contrast because you put them down with the base drawing tool. And then even though it's a shape that would look great there and contribute a lot, it's too high contrast, so your eye thinks it looks bad, so you get rid of it. This is a new kneaded eraser, so it's not quite broken in yet. It's not soaking up the graphite very nicely. Where do you store your kneaded eraser? It kind of gets sticky over time. I just throw it in my pencil case. Sometimes it leaves gunk on a pencil or something like that, but whatever. As long as that gunk is not on the tip of the pencil, it's not going to make any difference to any drawings, so fine by me. Hi, Joey. Digging the 8-bit soundtrack going on right now? I think that was Crypt of the Necro Dancer. Is it Crypt or Tomb? Great soundtrack. I've never played the game, but the soundtrack is awesome. It's Crypt of the Necro Dancer. Great soundtrack. And there's a couple expansions for it. So there's like a bunch of music from it.
Ken Levine says, hey, Stephen, how many commissions would you say it is fair to keep in queue? I've gotten to the point where I get a lot of work, but due to financial reasons, it's hard to get myself to reject offers. For context, I just do personal stuff, e.g. drawing someone's OCs on social media and not work with big companies or something. I've never done that kind of work, so I don't have much good advice on that. I'm sorry. I can say just from what I've seen people do, and what I've seen a couple of my friends do, I've seen some people online have lists that basically are like, they'll book up for the year. So that's gotta be a bunch of stuff in the queue. That's gotta be maybe, 100 to hundreds of things for the year. And nobody seems upset with them. So I take it that what matters there is that they're upfront with people. Like, I'm gonna open my list. It's gonna take me a year to get through all these things. So you're on the list, just expect that it might take literally a year for you to get your thing. And as long as your clients are okay with that, what's the problem? So I think it really does just come down to how clearly you communicate with these people and what their expectations are of you. Yeah, and how much, does it stress you out to have that many things in the queue, I personally find that if I have more than 3 things to work on in the queue, but it's different because I'm talking like very different things, like different tasks to do. It's not like what you're talking about where it's 3, you're doing the same kind of task, just the sheer amount of them that needs to get done. But yeah, for me, if I go over 3 things I gotta do, that starts stressing me out. Like when I put together my to-do list for the day, I never expect more than 3 things from myself. I'm like, I know that that's probably not gonna happen, and it's just gonna stress me out. Again, work things. I'll put other things on the to-do list. It can be more than 3 things. If it's like 3 work things and then like errands and chores and things like that, life stuff. But for work things, I don't know, for me 3 is the magic number. It's like, that's just something I feel like I can hold. I can understand what needs to be done for all those things. And once it goes over that, I'm just looking at like work in abstract, Hey, Stephen, in your opinion, when's the best time to take a shape design form language class during the course of your studies? In general, I don't believe in the idea that there's like a set curriculum for how you should go through art. For anything that you're interested in taking a class in, I really think you can do them in any order, basically. If someone's running a school, they're gonna disagree with me, but there's something to learn from all of those foundational studies at any time. What I would say is that if you've never developed a habit of just happily drawing for yourself, you should do that before you take any classes. I need to see outside. I'm feeling cooped up in here. Sometimes you just gotta see outside, all right? It's not a big deal. It's human. Autumn Rose says, wonderful art as always, Stephen. Thank you, Autumn. I'm trying to rewatch your videos about goals and how much you hate them. LOL. I'm trying to draw for myself first, study later. Good. Fuck goals. Forget them. Focus on right now. Find your joy right now. Find what you care about in your art right now. It's never going to show up at any other time. Whatever joy is ever going to be available in your art practice, is ever going to be available to you in your art practice, it will only ever manifest right now, in the present. Let the self-deception begin. As soon as I say anything like that, that's when people start going, well, what about this justification for the stupid way that I do things? It's like, well, no. Well, wait a second, maybe that's true for some people, but I got a really good reason why I fuck up my life. There were some interviews recently from Todd McFarlane where he emphasized the need for people to do their own thing for business reasons, kind of like how emphasize it for self-fulfillment reasons. Well, I think there's really, there's tons of good reasons to do your own thing. It's art, that's That's what it is at its core. You know, it's a very particular game, a very contingent, current cultural game to sort of do art for companies and to want it to fit into somebody else's look or somebody else's style, or to be like very obsessed with whether it's sort of hitting the level or does it look like the work that I see everywhere and all of this. It's like, I get it, you know, and it's there's always been some current of that in art, but it's just a part. That's not what art is down at its core, you know? You ignore that at your detriment. Is that me you are drawing, says I Nocturne? Yes, yes it is. Happy New Year, Yankee. Keyshawn says, hi, Steven, how are you? I'm good. I'm good. Anna Rude says, Steven, got any new art project plans for this year or just continuing the old stuff? Yeah, I have a lot of stuff that I want to do, but I will refrain from saying it yet. But you know how it is. It's the beginning of a new year. You know, everybody, you take some time to reflect, think of all the things left undone in the past year. I think naturally everybody gets charged up for what they might do in the new year. That's the arc. And then you get into the year and you get slapped in the face. With the unexpected, the best laid plans of mice and men. You think I thought that basically all of my year last year would go to AI? Shit. Who saw that one coming? And I mean right away too. Like I spent basically all of January, right at the beginning of last year. I spent all of January right from the start getting ready, writing that TEDx talk. Doing research, practicing it, and yeah, writing it. And that started even before January, because I was asked to do it right at the tail end of December, right while I was in the middle of getting ready to move. These shadows are so detailed and hooky. Yeah, I always force them into very clear and aggressive shapes. It's my preference, form language wise, and I'm just used to them. I know how to interlink them. And it makes it easier. It makes it easier to draw when the shadow shapes aren't so sort of amorphous and abstract. It's not for everyone, but it is for me. God damn, I wish I had tea. It sucks that I got the kettle going and then found I didn't have any bags. Damn. Damn. Noodles Live says, have you mastered ink yet? I'm kidding. Sorry. You'd better be sorry. God, you'd better be sorry. The holy hammer of destruction that I would lay down on you if you were serious about that. I can't abide that amount of ignorance on my streams. There is no reason that I should suffer that degree of ignorance being flung at my face without some sort of retribution. How are you gonna make this thing right? Is this a demon goblin drawing? No, this is a goblin demon drawing. It's totally giving me. Just realize others see me as scary and I can't, oh, I see. It's totally giving me. Just realize others see me as scary and I can't play two vibes. It's the eyes and they are amazing. Whoa, Raisin. Very fancy calligraphy in Raisin's handle name. I like that. The rest of you should pay such close attention to how you present yourselves. Get yourself some fancy calligraphy like Raisin. Raisin. It's giving H.P. Lovecraft. It's giving the Haunter out the dark. Lugnut. Well, let me correct that. XX Lugnut XX says, hey Stephen, the past few months I've worked on personal projects and abandoned my usual fundies grind and find my fulfillment in art skyrocketed. Hell yes. I've also limited my hours to leave me feeling honestly great about the output in spite of being less than usual. There are some days where I want to push past the time restriction and was wondering your opinion, experience on such moments. Well, I'm very happy, XX Lugnut XX, to hear that you are experiencing such great fulfillment after leaving the grind behind and actually doing your own stuff. When it comes to pushing past the time restriction, I do it occasionally. I used to do it a lot more. I only started restricting my hours in the past maybe 2 or 3 years, something like that. Before that, you know, I would go for high hours all the time. But in the 3 years that I've been restricting them, something like that, yeah, I do let myself go over sometimes. I just don't make a habit of it. That's really the important thing. Like, you know, every now and then you need a day where you do, you know, an arbitrary amount of hours. It's just that if you do that regularly and you try to make that a habit, I just don't see any way that you can sustain that for an extended period of time. And by extended, I do mean even like a month. I don't see any way you can do that for an extended period of time without losing efficiency. You'll just be you'll be working at like 20% of your ability while tripling your hours or something like that. So yeah, it's not a big deal to do it every now and then, but you shouldn't make it a habit, I don't think. It's just a recipe for burnout. Stephen, can you demonstrate what this creature would sound like? Well, it's kind of got like bat-like features in the nose. It's got the big ears. So just following along with, you know, what biology would necessitate based on those physiological structures. Just kind of means you would have to sound something like, hey, come get your bat poop over here. I got your fresh bat poop over here. Bat poop, bat poop. Hot steaming bat poop over here. Come on over here and get your fresh bat poop. You. Fresh bat poop right here? Coming right up. There you go. Fresh bat poop here. Fresh bat poop here. Come get your fresh bat poop over here. Probably something like that. What's your favorite Bloodborne boss design? Like just visually or in terms of like, which is my favorite to fight? Orphan of Cause is my favorite fight. My favorite design is probably... I think Cleric Beast. Maybe that's like really basic to say, but like, I feel like as an archetypal first boss to sort of set the design language. I also really like the way Cleric Beast moves. I really like the way he's animated. He's like stuck in my memory from like first playthrough. First boss encounter. Being scared of that thing. Thank you, Dyson. Adrian says, Stephen, I use 3D heavily for my concept art, but I fear this will severely limit me in the future when it comes to finding my style. What would you recommend? Use 3D heavily for my concept art. It's difficult for me to say. It depends. It depends how you're using it. Because I don't know, I think there's ways that 3D could help you find your style, you know? 3D can sort of give you the freedom to experiment with viewpoints and compositions that your mind might not ever naturally go to working just 2D. And then if those solutions are more interesting than what you would get working flat, you might want to integrate those permanently into how you do your work and how you think about your compositions. So I don't know, I wouldn't close yourself off from any of the possibilities that 3D entails. I feel like I've learned a lot from doing 3D. I'm no good at 3D, but I feel like I've learned a lot from it. Thank you, Mustafa. Happy New Year to you as well. Thanks, Adrian. You were very sweet. You are very sweet. Goodbye, Mizubi. I'm hooked on your honey, never letting you go. Hi, Pupper. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who's a good girl? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could. Who's a good girl? You're very smart, aren't you? Yes, you are. Nobody appreciates how smart you are. You're a very smart, very beautiful girl. And you're very thoughtful. And you're very athletic and talented. And you have a lot of great scholarships. And everybody really respects you. Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, go on. Go to bed. She just needs her 2 p.m. words of encouragement. Manakinu says, hi, Stephen. Have you always been mostly interested in drawing creatures? Like from when you started drawing? I personally don't really have that kind of focus. And I think it might be a problem. No. I was always interested in them, and I did always draw them, but they weren't always my, like my primary thing or anything like that. Even now, I don't consider them my primary thing. I do a lot of stuff that is not creatures. You know, I spent periods at other times of my artistic career doing mostly, you know, I went through periods where I did mostly portraits. I went through periods where I did mostly just straight down the barrel, accurate human anatomy. Went periods where I really just did mostly character design and like human character design. So it was really mostly just normal humans with clothes on them. I spent a lot of time doing clothes and costumes and things like that. And I've spent long periods doing, focusing on environments, doing mostly landscape paintings, drawings of interiors. That was my job for a long time, designing experiential spaces and theme parks. So doing like theme parks and then also like museum exhibits, everything from museum exhibits to restaurant designs, gallery openings, any kind of fun entertainment kind of thing that was a real place that you would go to. I designed stuff like that for a long time. We all need our 2 p.m. encouragement. Yeah, we all do. What type of paper are you using? Says Cannibal Endling. This is Strathmore 400 Series Bristol Paper Smooth. My favorite paper. Don't you think creature would look cooler and more alien with fish eyes with no eyelids? Sounds like you should draw that. Sounds like you just had an idea for what you should draw. Oh, cool, didn't know that. I guess I have just mostly seen your creatures. Yeah. Mostly what I do, you know, certainly here on YouTube and on these streams and things like that. Most of what people have seen from me in that context is a lot of weird stuff, a lot of creatures, a lot of abstraction, things like that. But yeah, that's what I've presented, but just speaking from, you know, the truth of me as a person, my broader actual history, which, you know, I can't expect anyone to know that. I don't expect anyone to know. It's just kind of interesting, the different eras that we go through as artists and how people tend to only sort of, they intersect with you as an artist at a particular point in your practice. And then there's kind of a way that we tend to assume that that's just what that person does. But most artists are so much more than that in reality. You know, because you need to do a lot of exploration as an artist. Dev says, Mr. Zapata, I'm writing a comic and my art style's pretty similar to yours, hyper detailed and based on shadows, but I struggle with shorthand. Would you have any tips? What do you mean, what do you mean by shorthand? I'm not sure what you mean by that, so I can't give any tips just yet. Adrian says, I do recreations of people's yards with pergolas installed on it. It's real estate concept art. Who knows what I'll do in the future, but right now I'm Mr. Pergola artist. Hey, you know, it's a niche. Someone's got to do it. Games by Mark Wolf says, hey Stephen, want you to know I made the leap and illustrated a 400 frame storyboard animation, working now on episode 2. Nice, cool. Congratulations, Mark. $400 frames. That's quite a bit. How much, like, if it's a storyboard animation, I take it maybe it's like an animatic for something. How much does it come out to in like runtime? Just out of curiosity, how much does 400 frames come out to in runtime? Or maybe you haven't like stitched them all together and run them through a editing program yet or anything like that. Like simplified anatomy. I'm used to freestyling the proportions and textures. Right, like a shorthand for simplified anatomy. It's difficult to give advice on that because I think it's very personal what you need from your shorthand. Like when I sketch something, if I'm trying to just do an indication of things, I just need the overall rhythms. And that's the main thing that I sketch. And I don't do the shadow shapes and stuff like that until I'm coming in for a second pass. But that's not gonna be what everybody wants. For me, the rhythms are most of the beauty of the sketch. That doesn't mean the rhythms can't be the rhythms of shadow shapes. You know, it could be anatomy, it could be... Rhythm is an abstraction, you know, curve, flow, energy transferring through the form. That's an abstraction, so it can be represented by any aspect of the figure. It could be anatomical, it could be a light effect. I wish I could be more concrete, but yeah, that's just a very... it's gonna come down to each individual artist. Even if our styles are similar, you might just have very different desires for what you want from your early sketches. It'll develop naturally though. Finishing will make it develop naturally. It's by going through the effort of refining and finishing drawings to whatever level is necessary for the project that you're doing. That is actually what makes your shorthand sketches better, because you have more insight as to what you're actually trying to indicate. You know, when you're just kind of, if you're a beginner and you haven't finished a lot of drawings, when you're trying to do a beautiful sketch, you are to some extent like kind of faking it, because you've never interacted with the finished version of what your sketch is ostensibly a placeholder for. And you can actually go pretty far with that, but it is to some extent, you know, you're kind of making it up, you know, and then as you do more and more finished drawings, you learn what each one of those errant marks and quick shapes is supposed to become when you've dumped 100 hours into them. And so when you go back to doing those initial marks, it's almost inevitable you will put them down with more insight, and that will tend to make them look better because they're more insightful, they contain more information. Varun says, hey Steven, I found videos of how a guy draws that I really like, but his explanations don't make much sense to me. Do you have any advice on how to study something like that? You can just study the drawings themselves. You know, you'll have to explain to yourself what you think makes them look good. You know, you can do quick copies of them, you can do involved copies of them, or you can just look at them for a really long time and talk yourself through it. Talk yourself through, like, why do I think that shape looks good? Why do I think that line looks good? But I'll tell you what, if his explanations don't make sense, it might just be that they don't make sense to you yet. You're just not on a high enough level yet where you're like ready to hear that stuff. So bookmark it and come back to it in a year. It's very common to have the experience that you heard a piece of art advice, it made absolutely no sense. You hear it again in a year and you're like, obviously, of course, you know. So set yourself up for that. It's not something you want to miss the opportunity for, because those tend to be the good ones. Mark Wolf says, runtime is around 13 minutes. Nice, it's a long time. It's just choppy animation with music, slightly more animated than a traditional storyboard. Yeah, I like those kinds of things. They're fun to make. And they do communicate a story. They do communicate a story. Yeah, 13 minutes, that's good meaty time right there. Good for you, Mark. Happy New Year, Lucy Lau. Lucy Lau Minow. Happy New Year. Biblically accurate Batman? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Favorite tea? Green. I wish I had some green tea right now. Damn, that would be nice. What kind of clay you use for eraser? It's just a Faber, I think this, I only ever buy the Prismacolor ones or the Faber-Castell ones. So this is either a Faber-Castell kneaded eraser or a Prismacolor kneaded eraser. I think, I just opened it yesterday. I think it was a Faber-Castell one. As an American, my favorite tea is coffee, says Mark Wolf. Amen. I'm doing only tea after 12 these days. I drink coffee all morning, but then it's only tea after that. I'm getting old. It finally started affecting my sleep. With the tea, I'm still fine. I'm sure that'll change soon too, though. I can drink tea. I can drink tea after 12 and I'll still sleep. Without waking up in the middle of the night, just straight through, dead. Dead to the world. That's one painful looking turd. That's funny. Poop jokes. I like them. I think they're funny. All right, folks, we've been going for over 2 hours here. I got a bunch of other stuff I got to do. So we're going to start wrapping this up. First stream of the new year. And we will do another stream post-haste. But I'll stay on for a minute here, answer any last questions. We'll leave this guy like this for now. Hey Stephen, I'm a total beginner at art and recently found myself wanting to write and illustrate a comic book. Do you think I should focus on gesture and character design before learning environment art? I don't think there's like prerequisites in art. Like you don't need to know one before the other to learn either. In general, this is not right to say because you could easily subvert this, but I feel like in a comic, your characters and your character gestures tend to be more important than the environments in a comic book, but that's not true for every comic. It's just a generalization from me, an idiot on the internet. So just based on that, if you're really trying to structure it around what's the priority list for your comic, I would go with that. I would do the gesture and characters first and do your environments later. Just give more time, more priority to the most important part. Games by Mark Wolf says, wanted to wish you a Happy New Year, Stephen, and everyone in chat. Happy New Year, Mark. I hope you have a great new year. I'm wishing everybody a very good new year. I hope things go well for you. If you had a great year last year, may this one be even better. And if you had a hard year last year, may this one be better. I had a hard year last year. I felt like last year was a tough one. Fingers crossed for this one. Thank you, Adrian. Ted says, last question, favorite muscle to draw? Ooh, just based off of like it being go-to, it's gotta be an arm muscle. Maybe the deltoid or it's either the deltoid, the tricep, or brachioradialis. Those are probably the things that I've drawn more than anything else in my life because when I'm sitting doodling without thinking of anything, or if I'm like on the phone with someone, if I don't give it any thought, an arm is the first thing that I draw. Hi, Raynola, and goodbye, Raynola. Anna Root says, Stephen, before you go, any art wisdom to start this year? Art wisdom? I think take it back to the personal this year, everybody. And work hard, keep it personal, and make the absolute best stuff that you can, because I think we're gonna need a very strong next generation of artists to fight in the wars to come. Hate to say it, but I really think if we want to keep art strong, This next generation of artists is gonna have to be the best ones ever. You're all gonna need to become freaks to defend Her Majesty drawing. Have you played Baldur's Gate 3? Yeah, I started it. I'm still in Act 1. Not that far. Oslo says, hey Steven, living in a big city, how do you avoid all the noise distractions while drawing? Noise does bother me. I do live in a city where it's basically noisy everywhere. Like, I live, to give you an idea of how noisy New York City is, I live 5 minutes from the second biggest airport in New York, LaGuardia. Is LaGuardia bigger than JFK? It might be. It's a major airport in New York with an international terminal and everything. I can drive to LaGuardia in under 10 minutes from where I live. I can see planes taking off and landing from my window, and they run all day. My part of town is people come and they're like, dude, it's so quiet here. Wow, you live in such a quiet part of town. Like, yeah, it's not. And how do I avoid the noise distractions? You know, it only bothers me when recording. I've lived in New York my whole life, so I never even noticed it until I started recording myself drawing and doing live streams. It's just, you put that stuff in the background. It never bothered me, never. I'm used to sleeping through just, 4 a.m. garbage trucks loud as hell, 10 feet from my head through basically a paper wall. That's what I'm used to. So yeah, it's just, and I never really registered it until I needed quiet for streaming and recording. That's when it started getting annoying. And that's when it bothers me. When the microphone is off, I don't care. I don't care at all. All right. I think I got the questions. Agree 100%, says Daisan. I take it that's about what I said about we need a strong generation of artists coming up. Yeah, I really think, I think that's gonna be important. Thank you, Raisin. Happy New Year to you too, Daryl. Tomas says, Happy New Year, Stephen. Happy New Year, Stephen. Everyone says use reference, but what about creating them? I am overthinking things. Use reference. Everybody uses reference. You should use reference. It makes you better. A lot of people have a threshold where they're like, yeah, I'll use reference, but some amount of my work, I need to just come right out of my head. That's perfectly fine too. But unless you have a really unless you're sure that one of the points, the philosophical points of your art as you share it with others is that it's done without reference, that it's completely from your mind. Unless that is a concrete, you would write it down, you would say it in an interview, important point about your art, don't resist using reference. And yeah, make your own. I make my own. That's why I started using 3D years ago, was to learn to have more flexibility with making my references. I'm not great at 3D. I do really simple stuff to get basic shapes and things like that, but I do that. Making your own references is fun. I've started VR sculpting more recently. That's a really fun way to make your own reference because it retains more of your hand and your decision making, at least from a drawing perspective. I feel like sculpting in VR retains more of my, to speak metaphorically, my handwriting than doing traditional 3D. It just gets more of my nervous system into it. All right, everybody, I am going to run. I am out of time. Take care, everybody. It has been very nice drawing with you. Thank you for hanging out with me while I drew this pooping back goblin. And I will see you all again very soon. What day is today? Today's frickin' Wednesday. Yeah, I'll probably see you tomorrow. Sounds about right. Okay, everybody, take care. Happy New Year. I hope your year is off to a good start, and I will see you all soon. Take care, everyone.